from the Shopify Masters podcast and Podcasting Secrets. Today I'm going to talk to you about this concept of invisible scripts and why it might be stopping you from launching your podcast if you've been thinking about doing this for a while but you have not launched yet. So there's this guy that I follow named Ramit Sethi. I've talked about him in a past episode, and he has this concept of invisible scripts, which is the conversations that you have inside your head, or the immediate response, response that you have once you start thinking about doing something. What are the media scripts that start playing out in your head? And I start paying more attention to these invisible scripts, right? These are things that just repeat themselves. It's the same pattern over and over again, talking about the same thing over and over again inside your head, you talking to yourself, or maybe it's another voice talking to you. But either way, it's something that pops up into your head when you start thinking about pursuing something, when you start thinking about launching a podcast, for example. So, what I've been doing is that, I'm in this course right now, and one of the things that one of the coach in the course teaches is this quote from The Martian, the movie with Matt Damon in it, where he, spoiler alert, he goes to Mars, he gets stuck up there, and he has to find a way to get back. And what he discovered was that eventually when he got back, he was teaching in front of a room of young NASA students, about his experience of how he got back. And what he said was that he was very methodical about getting home. He said that what he did was that you solve one problem, and then when you solve that problem, you solve the next problem, you solve that, you solve the next problem, you keep on solving problems, and if you solve enough problems, you get to come home. And the same thing, if you're trying to reach a goal, you're trying to reach some milestone, you have to solve a bunch of problems until you get there and you get home. So what does that have to do with invisible scripts is that what I started doing was that I started paying attention to what is the conversation that immediately pops up into my head when I am trying to do something. What is the objection that I give myself about why I can't accomplish something? And a lot of times it's always me saying that this is not going to work for me, or I start saying my situation is different. And usually when I say different, it means that my situation makes it harder for me to accomplish that thing, or that I'm not kind of born, or I'm not in a position to do something. And this actually happened to me with these Facebook Lives, these live videos that I've done, where I never even considered myself as a person that will hop on here and talk. This, maybe just even 7 months ago, I would never thought that. Or I also taught my podcast from scratch masterclass, and I did it live. And I never thought that I would have been able to do something like that, because I was just telling myself oh, that's just not something. I know I see other people doing it, but that's just not something that I would do. Not so much I don't think I could do it, but it's just almost I never even entertained the thought that maybe I should try to do this thing. And these are instructions that everyone that's successful, that has launched podcasts, has launched businesses, they teach these things. They teach their advice. They teach what has worked for them. And a lot of times, even though they've taught what works for them, my immediate response a lot of times is that it might not work for me. It's not going to work for me. Let me try to find something else that is more natural to me. And I spent so much time on this search for the things that are more natural feeling for me that I miss out on opportunities to grow into the skills, grow into the belief that I can do some of these things. And again, the Facebook Lives I'm doing, Instagram Lives, these live classes that I'm teaching, these are all things that I had invisible scripts in my head to tell myself yeah, I see other people doing it, but I don't think I can do it. And I think where that quote from The Martian comes in handy, the kind of big epiphany for me was the things that I say I cannot do, or things that I immediately respond with I cannot do, let's just objectively try it. Let me just objectively try to do that thing. Let me just objectively solve one problem at a time, and remove emotion from it, and remove this belief that I cannot do it, or I'm not meant to do it, or I don't have the skills to do it. Let me just try and do it. Let me just try and do it. Try to solve this problem. If I solve it, let me move on to the next problem. I keep on solving problems until I reach my goal. So that was the kind of big realization for me, was wow, and anytime I start questioning myself and start saying maybe I can't do this, or maybe I don't have the skills to do it, I'm just going to just try to do it and see what happens. And it's crazy how much, I don't think the universe is not conspiring to help you out, but it's so interesting how the doubts just start melting away once you start taking action. So if you're thinking about starting a podcast and you start thinking oh, I don't know about the equipment, I don't know if I can do it, I feel like I'm not allowed to do it. I don't have the permission to create content like this. I'm not an authority. I'm not an expert. I don't want to sound dumb. I feel like I'm going to sound stupid. I feel like I'm going to sound funny. These are all doubts that every single podcaster that's ever launched a podcast has in their head too. And the only difference between the people that have not started podcasts and the people with million download podcasts is that maybe they build up the confidence and the courage over time to jump in. Or even easier, you don't build the courage just to do it. You just say, let me just try. Let me just try one. Let me just try putting out one episode. Let me just try to spend one day creating a podcast episode. And if it doesn't work and I can't launch my podcast, then I'll move on to the next thing. But then just objectively just try to do it and then see the doubts start melting away. And I think action is the best way to kill doubts and melt away doubts. And that's been what's been successful for me. So hopefully that helps you out. If you're thinking about launching your podcast and you're thinking like, man, I don't know if I can do it, I don't know if it's going to work. Just follow a blueprint that works and just follow it without needing to believe you can do it. You don't have to believe you can do it yet, but just take action as if you could. Like you don't have to believe in your heart that you can do it. You just skip over that part. I think belief comes from taking action and seeing results. So at some point you gotta not take a leap of faith, but at some point you just gotta put away the emotion, put away the logical thinking even, and just say, I'm gonna quote unquote waste a day and attempt to be a podcaster, attempt to launch a podcast, and then I'll see what happens. If something happens, great. If nothing happens, then move on to the next thing. Nothing lost. So hope that helps you out. Just do it. Just take the action, and you don't have to have belief at first. Just take the action, and then belief comes from the action. Seeing yourself capable of taking the action, and then eventually seeing the results is what fuels the belief. So hopefully it helps you out. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye bye.